I have often said that this breakfast turns into a brunch, and if we're not careful, we'll just keep celebrating and have lunch. Joshua chapter 1, verse 9 says, "Be strong and brave. Don't ever be afraid or discouraged." Edward G. Rendell has not shown fear, and those of you who know him know what I'm talking about, has not shown fear or discouragement in fulfilling his duties as Pennsylvania's 45th governor. He began his second term in office in January of 2007, where his investments have energized the state's economy, revitalized communities, improved education, protected the environment, and expanded access to health care to all children, one of the first states to do that. He's also created an affordable prescription program for older adults. Governor Rendell is building on his efforts to make government more responsible to the public and responsive to the public's needs. Those are the scripted remarks, which my staff always gives me to keep me on time. But since I got the mic, I also know Ed Rendell as a former district attorney, and I also know Ed Rendell as my former mayor. I need to say that over the years, we have argued. Not once, not twice. We even argued on television once. But I also need to say that even when he doesn't agree, he will respect you. And he will tell you what he thinks. Ed Rendell has argued with us at Esperanza and the clergy. Wasn't a big argument. He has supported us as both as mayor and as governor. And we have celebrated together many times. But the thing I'm most proud of, he doesn't know I'm going to say this, but anyway, the thing I'm most proud of is that recently he took a strong stance in support of a just outcome. A young man, Luis Ramirez, was killed. He was a Mexican immigrant in the state of Pennsylvania. He was killed last summer in Shenandoah, Pennsylvania. Now, Governor Rendell, who was once the district attorney, Governor Rendell wrote a letter to the federal government. First, he wrote a letter to the district attorney handling the case, calling for a maximum sentence for a hate crime to the two defendants. That didn't work, so he has written to the Attorney General of the United States. No one asked him to. He just did it. It is rare that a governor would do that. It is very rare that a governor would do that. It is this level of fearlessness and dedication to justice that makes him an exemplary leader. Please give a warm welcome to the governor of the state of Pennsylvania and our Spirit Award winner, Governor Ed Rendell. I need you to stand here and hold this so we can take some pictures. And we'll stand on this side so I can take some pictures. And then the mic's all yours. I'll leave this down here for you.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. You know, I've been in an elective office for 31 years. It's a long time. And among the things that I'm proudest of is the relationship I've had with the Hispanic community, both in Philadelphia and throughout the Commonwealth. The Latino coalition was extraordinarily helpful in getting me elected governor. Angel Ortiz, our former councilman, is here. We've made so much political progress. Councilman Ortiz ran at large in the city of Philadelphia, which only has about 7% registered Hispanics, and very often would come in #1 of all of the candidates in the ballot. We just elected in the last municipal election in Philadelphia a wonderful councilwoman, Maria Quinones Sanchez, and she won in a district that was not 50% Latino. She won because she was the best candidate and ran the best campaign. We have a Secretary of State by the name of Pedro Cortez, who was appointed by me in my first year in office. He's risen to be president of the National Secretary of State's Association, and he's supervised 2 presidential elections, in 2004 and 2008, when Pennsylvania was the center of the universe, and there wasn't one hint of any problem in either of those elections. A remarkable feat by a remarkable young man. And we've made great progress politically and some progress with groups like Esperanza and the social and economic fronts. But that progress is challenged today by two things. I just want to take a minute to talk about the two things that are challenging those progress. First is education. I am so pleased that we have made so much gain in Pennsylvania in 6 years in education. 30% more of our children are both proficient in math and science than 6 years ago, math and English than 6 years ago. We are one of only 9 states to have made significant progress in both reading and math on the national test. We're doing very well in every area. The gap between minority achievement, Latino and African American achievement, and majority achievement is narrowing in Pennsylvania. Latino American kids have made significant strides in progress. And that's happened because we've invested real money in education, not just dumping it into black holes, but into real programs that work, like pre-kindergarten, like after-school tutoring, like full-day kindergarten, things where the educational science show work to improve achievement all the way through pre-K to 12. Smaller high schools, good programs in high schools, opportunities for children to grow, all sorts of good and innovative programs. But in state capitals like Harrisburg and Sacramento and Albany and Springfield, all across this country, education is being challenged by the current economic crisis. We have to decide as Americans and as Pennsylvanians and as every state in the union, are we going to continue educational progress, or are we going to use this recession as an excuse for bringing it to a halt? Are we going to just give up because times are a little tough? Are we going to mortgage our future? Because education is our future. It's our future for Hispanic American kids. It's our future for African American kids. But it's our future for all American kids. And this is not the time to give up on education. This is the time to stand strong. This is the time to stand strong. And if that means raising revenue, as difficult as that is in this political climate, revenue must be raised to preserve education, because it is the only way. It's the only way we're going to empty our jails. It's the only way we're going to have fairness in our economic system. It is the only way that everyone's going to have opportunity to get the best jobs, those cutting-edge jobs that need high technology education. So number one, all of us have to make sure we weigh in and stand up for education. Whatever the cost, however difficult the time it is, don't mortgage the future just to avoid some short-run pain. My second message, and I don't know if Congressman Cantor's here, I hope he still is that we need to go about having a rational immigration policy soon. Soon. Because the cost for not having that policy is great in so many different ways. Did you ever think, when you first heard about swine flu or H1N1 virus, did you ever think that that would be an issue that would be impacted by immigration? Well, it is. It is. Because we in Pennsylvania have had cases, and you know the thing about swine flu or H1N1 is it's absolutely treatable. We don't have a vaccine for it yet, but it's treatable. There's an antiviral course of shots that you take over 5 days, and it is treatable. It is recoverable. But the key is to get into the doctor as soon as possible. If you delay a week, it may be too late, and your lives are squandered and lost. If you stay out in the public without getting treated, you can infect other people. Well, there are many workers in Pennsylvania, and I'm sure this is true in other parts of the state, of the country, who've come in illegally. And some of them have swine flu. And they are afraid to go to the doctor, afraid to go to public health offices, afraid to go to state health offices, because under current regulations, we have to turn them in. We have to turn them in. So they stay on the outside, infecting others. They stay on the outside, limiting their chances for recovery. We have asked Washington for a waiver, that hasn't been resolved yet. I expect it will be resolved positively, because it's the right thing to do from a human standpoint, and it's the smart thing to do to stop the spread of that virus. But until we come to grips with this issue And I know the Congress and even the President doesn't want to deal with this until we've dealt with health care, and I understand all that. But I think by this time next year, we have to have a rational immigration policy in this country. These issues have to be resolved. They have to be resolved. And it is an issue that can be driven by faith. That can be driven by faith. I am sick and tired of hearing politicians talk about faith, and they're guided by faith, and they're guided by religious values. And then they come to the table on crucial issues, and they do exactly the opposite of what their faith would dictate. So I want to see this immigration dispute guided by faith. Because, and I know we always get criticized for saying this when we bring this up, but on the immigration issue, we know what Jesus would do. Thank you all.